We are recording with Dr. Robert Malone on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 at 12:01 p.m. Eastern Time. The link to your newest book, Cyber, is in the description, as well as the past one we did, Lies My Government Told Me. Link to your Getter, your Twitter, your Substack, all that good stuff is in there. And yeah, I mean, it's the meme magic is so I don't know if you're tapped into meme magic, if that's before your time, but in 2016, the meme magic was very strong of just there's almost like a goofiness around the Trump administration, and it wasn't there in 2020. And the meme magic is very strong back right now. I mean, the memes of like RFK kicking in your door at 3 a.m. because you're eating a Big Mac and he's got like night vision goggles and a shotgun. He's like, put it down. Like the meme magic is strong. And so with RFK getting appointed to HA, I mean, I think I'm almost more excited about that than Trump himself because that, especially, for my podcast getting banned from all these platforms because of CDC, FDA bullshit, because of, getting to know you and kind of, our relationship was forged in that. It's also me magic aside. It's also there's a sweet, I don't know, revenge or vindicate. I don't like the word revenge, but vindication that, I mean, it seems like the pendulum of justice is swinging back and it's breaking the sound barrier. And I'm so excited for that. So with Dr. Malone, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Well, Tommy, all I can say is you might want to curb your enthusiasm a little bit.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
it's good to be enthusiastic and forward-looking and energetic, but I've just come off of Friday, Saturday, Sunday at a conservative group that's um, was formed by Reagan called the Council on National Policy. And for instance, we had the Speaker of the House fly up from Mar-a-Lago to speak to us and then jump on a plane and fly back. So it's kind of a heavy hitter group,
Yeah.
but their rules are Chatham House, so no press, and we're not supposed to speak about what transpired. But I did have a chance to talk to a number of leading conservatives, influencers, donors, etc. And Steve Bannon spoke very powerful rally cry for the whole group. And then he flew back to Palm Beach. Everybody's in Palm Beach, it seems, these days that are in the sausage making process right now. It's a place to be. And you were just referring to Bobby and McDonald's. Did you see the talking about memes, the little clip of Bobby, Elon, uh, uh, Donald J. and Don Jr.
On the plane.
Sitting on the plane with McDonald's, and it looked like they were trolling Bobby because
Not
he had a
look
look on
happy.
his face, looked like he had hemorrhoids,
The,
and it had the Speaker of the House kind of photobombing off to the side.
the
Uh,
I saw the best caption of that, and it goes, "You and the boys making the new guys do drugs to make sure he's not a fed." Eat it, Bobby. Eat it. One of us. I thought that was hilarious.
yeah, that's probably that kind of seems to capture the gestalt of that picture. Uh,
One of
and
us. Take a bite.
over the polished mahogany table on the 7X whatever that they're flying. Yeah, so the truth is that as I posted on Twitter last night, I come off of thinking a lot about this and talking to a lot of people, and was on uh, a planning broadcast for what we hope will be the International Crisis Summit Philippines coming up. Philippines are basically hosting the upcoming World Council on Health meeting, wherein the World uh, Health Organization anticipates getting sign off on its international health treaty or pandemic treaty. And so there's a number of folks from the Philippines that were asking this group that I'm affiliated with to do a rally there and try to kind of awaken people in the Philippines as to what's going on with the jab, et cetera. And as I'm sitting there talking to everybody, and everybody wants to know what just happened, and because they know that I was at the Palm Beach election watches, and I have some peripheral understanding of what's going on, more than many others. They all wanted to know what I thought about this. And for instance, Mark Trozy, who's under threat of jailing, in a physician, ER physician, highly qualified, under threat of being jailed in Canada for speaking out against the jab, was there. And as I'm talking to them, it just hit me. Another one of these things, hits you in the head like a brick. We are in a civil war. It's a fifth generation information war right now. It's not a shooting war, but we are in a civil war. The efforts by Democratic House to set up a shadow government, a shadow cabinet, the rabid attempts to, in the press and otherwise, to delegitimize Trump's cabinet selections, the just weaponized hate is not stopping. And it just occurred to me that this has been a slow building fifth generation civil war, and we're now in it in a big way. And of course, one of the things that the Canadians in particular were concerned about is the drumbeat of war in Ukraine and the possibility of nuclear armed
Mhm.
conflict. And I was reassuring them nobody that I had been in touch with had been talking about it domestically in the United States, had been talking about escalating the Ukraine war. And then yesterday, the news came out that um, you know, whatever shell is of our president or whoever's acting on his behalf has authorized Ukraine to shoot American missiles into Russian territory, which was a bright line that Vladimir Putin had set. And now, as the news today is that
They
Ukraine
did.
has started doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
Atacam, ATAX, ATACMS. That's all. I just know that's the abbreviation of the missile.
for the missile. Okay,
Yeah.
so what's the nature of that weapon?
From what little I know about it, I think it's as far as military equipment goes, I think it's pretty like relative, just battlefield missile, ballistic missile. It's not some hyper secret hypersonic. It's not an ICBM. It's something that seems to be beyond, I guess, the range of mortars and artillery. But again, all military equipment is advanced. But I think that per the military or for the military, it's just like it's an average, I don't know,
So this is more
battlefield
consuming
theater.
consuming outdated American munitions kind of stuff.
Absolutely. No, no, no. It is. I don't mean to say that it's nothing. In the same way that a single bullet can be used to shoot a squirrel or it can be used to shoot Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Like, I don't mean to be dismissing it. From what little I know, as far as I know, yeah, it's not some breaking hypersonic DARPA thing. It's just ground, I don't know, theater ballistic. I could be entirely wrong. For all I know, it
Yeah.
goes 10,000
So
miles.
so in any case, it's happening, and in the face of Trump's clear mandate, which included a anti-war mandate
Hmm.
explicitly, and and it is unequivocally an escalation, and it's part of a what is increasingly coming across as a cohesive strategy to kind of run things up as the clock is running out, and advance as much of the Biden, Harris, Obama agenda as we possibly can, as they possibly can. But that's not what you want to talk about. You want to talk about Bobby
No,
and
no,
transition and
let's
what we
go into
should talk
this. It's very clear that they're dialing it up. There's no other
Yeah,
explanation for it.
it's
Why
this
now?
is smash mouth. That's my point. There's no, oh, the populace has spoken. We need to listen to the voters. Any of that kind of stuff. No,
No.
it's like I don't care. in your grill. I'm going to carry on with what I'm doing and do everything I can to bugger up the works so that it's as difficult as possible for you to advance your agenda once you actually do get sworn in.
The only, I guess, silver lining, and I could be wrong on this too, but if I remember, after Trump won in 2016, before he was inaugurated January 2017, Obama sent special forces units to several locations around the border of Russia. And it was, all things considered, there was no Ukraine war. So that was considered an escalation. And it seemed like the entrenched power was kind of throwing a fit before Trump came in. And then I could also be wrong, but I'm pretty sure for the first time since World War II, in that window, all U.S. aircraft carriers came back to port for the first time in 80 plus years or 70 plus years. All aircraft carrier strike groups were essentially out of the water. And it seemed like the Obama administration at all was escalating. And then it seemed like the military, in direct contrast to that, de-escalated. Now, that was also 8 years ago. My memory could be completely botched. That's kind of the only silver lining I have is it seems like, now compared to now, sending special forces seems like lightweight. But you got to remember, relatively, there was no war in Ukraine. So that was a
Right.
relative escalation. Right now, it seems like this could be the equivalent of missiles. And the difference is, though, they've actually been launched and they've hit a target. So I could be wrong on that. But that's, if I have to cling to a silver lining, that would be it. Is it seems like this is
Well, we
happening.
did have this rather odd pronouncement. I think it was from the Secretary of Defense or Joint Chiefs, head of the Joint Chiefs, that the military was not going to uh, resist Trump's inauguration as president. More, I'm paraphrasing.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
a very odd thing to say.
from Lloyd Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very, very. We're there's going to be a peaceful transition. It's like, why did you say that?
Yeah,
It's like me
yeah,
being like, "Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Malone. By the way, I'm wearing pants."
yeah,
All right, dude.
yeah. So I guess my core point is that um, we the um, normal reflexive desire to celebrate right now for those of us that have been advocating for a rollback of the leftist position, this basically socialist advance in American culture and in American politics. It feels like we got to win, uh, but the message on, you know, in some from the folks that I've been listening to and speaking to is that we have no time to even take a breath. There's no time for celebration, unfortunately. We have to buckle down and just get going right now. And hence the sense of urgency in these appointments. And it does seem like talk about in your grill, a uh, Trump strategy of almost provoking corporate media. But then we had the MSNBC crew go down and kiss the ring and try to make nice. I'm talking about what was her name? Misha Brzezinski
Yeah.
and I'm for some reason blanking on his name.
Joe
Uh,
Scarborough.
yeah, Scarborough, exactly. Uh, Obviously, we're not hearing that from The View. Uh, and maybe perhaps related to that is this rumor that MSNBC is up for sale. Their ratings have crashed. CNN's ratings have crashed, and post-election. And there's no question in my mind that corporate media is increasingly up against the wall. This is one of the things I was thinking about this morning as Jill and I were having our AM chat about what's going to go on the Substack, is that um, I was trying to put myself in the position of being a corporate journalist, just, empathetically imagining what that must be like as you're facing the collapse of your industry. This, an industry that for most of these people, they've gone to journalism school. This is their thing. This is what they've trained to do. This is what they thought they were going to be doing for the rest of their lives, whether they thought they were going to be Woodward or Bernstein or whom. They imagine that they're going to be crusading groundbreaking journalists. And now the whole metaphor of print journalism and largely corporate television-based journalism is collapsing economically. It's being sustained by the pharmaceutical company and presumably by the United States government based on how they're broadcasting. And there's this FCC letter that's gone out to social media from the nominal head of the FCC, in which he's putting them on notice that he wants to have all the documents about their collusion with the government. There was Section 230 is kind of on the block as to whether or not that'll be sustained. That could be a win for corporate media if that was to be amended. It's as if the game is all in play right now, and no one really knows where it's going. But there's no question that the podcast is getting increasing momentum in disrupting mainstream media and breaking through the ability of the oligarchy, the owners, the established lines of power to control the narrative. And that if you're one of those journalists that has grown up, you've gone to Columbia, you've gone to Northwestern, you kind of reflect an urban frame of reference, and then you see the election results, and it's basically a sea of red, except for kind of bi-coastal and urbanized areas. And it must be incredibly threatening to these people. I'm trying to kind of empathetically understand the the level of hyperbole that we're hearing, and Bobby, of course, is a poster child for that. Matt Gaetz is another one. They're acting like it's an existential crisis, because I guess it kind of is for them. It's what they've set their life to, and they're not typically, these people are not facile and familiar with the podcast. They don't have a following. They make their daily bread by, advocacy journalism, writing what they're told to do and spinning it the way they're told to do, or their editor tells them how to do. And that's all falling apart. Another little factoid was this fascinating case of the editor of Scientific American getting outed for rabid flame posts about conservatives and Trump, and being forced to resign, and then having a lot of her editor colleagues in other publications come out in support of her. I mean, it's, as you look across the landscape of those that are supporting her at this moment, you can almost infer that that's a laundry list of the people that are, in some ways, compromised to promote the narrative, the official governmental narrative. It's a, I just, I'm stunned by what I'm seeing, and in one level, and another level, I've grown so cynical that what else would I expect to see? Uh, um, so that's how I'm seeing it. But I am absolutely convinced that we are now in a form of civil war, but it's not North versus South. It's coastal elites versus the garbage, deplorable flyover state, rural communities, and it's also uh, socialism and corporatism versus those of us that still believe in the American experiment and in the Constitution and in nationalism. I mean, nationalism is now supposed to be a dirty word in their world, and for the rest of us, we're like, "Whoa, no, I'm sorry, I didn't buy into that. I didn't vote for that." It's weird times.
With the broadest of brushes, I would say it's really not rocket science. If utilities, groceries, cost of living is
Gas.
manageable, a lot of the people don't become so rabid. You have a lot of people that, you hear the loudest voices, but growing up and knowing mostly conservative people, if everything's going fine, a lot of them will be like, yeah, I'm pro-life, and but it'll kind of fall by the wayside. The big yeah, but the Dow's up. A lot of people will be like, yeah, the tranny thing's weird, but live and let live. If everything's going fine, most people don't get too radical about it. They don't get too crazy about it. But it's like the comedian Tim Dillon said regarding this election is he said, you can dislike Donald Trump for all your reasons, and that's fine and valid and whatever, but you're not even meeting him on the playing field of challenging his ideas or his fringe ideas or the nationalisms or whatever. You're you're giving him an easy win. He's saying, eggs will be affordable, there will be a border, and we're not going to go to World War III. And that is like, you're not meeting him. You want those things taken off the table. You want to challenge someone on politics is dirty, but you dig up their past, go at them in every which way, things that can't be defended. But you're handing him a win. You're going, he's just going, there will be a border. There will be freedom of speech. There will be same day ballots. You're handing him the easiest victory because you are the party that is the opposite of it. You don't want that. Like it'd be like if you had to choose to come on my show or another podcast, and the other podcaster was giving to you all the reasons, against me, things I've said or done or believe in. But then he also said you had to go do his podcast and you do it out in a field in New Hampshire in December, and it's freezing. And I go, I no longer have to defend anything I've ever said. I just go, Dr. Malone, you can do it from your house. You can just sit in a chair. And you're going, man, I kind of don't want to go sit in a field in December in New Hampshire. Yeah, I'll do Tommy. Like he's not meeting me on a battlefield that he should. And if he's too stupid to go, hey, maybe I should bring my podcast inside instead of doing it in a field, that's natural selection, man. So with all of these things, it's I think people become so radical or they appear so radical because they're handing Trump the easiest of victory. He's just going, yeah, you can buy eggs and not have to finance them. And then people are like, yeah, I don't really care about the grab 'em by the pussy comment. My kids need to go to school. So to me, this is the natural. And then the more you have journalists and big tech working to collude and create an echo chamber, you have more and more people going, yeah, go out into the field and do that podcast. And then they're surprised when 999 potential guests go, I don't even like Tommy. I just legitimately don't want to go freeze to death in a field. And then they're bewildered. So I'm with you. I do have empathy. I don't want anyone to be out of a job on the street. But another part of me is like, if the guy doing the podcast in the field is out of a job, I'd be like, dude, I feel bad for you. You can rectify this so easily. Just fucking go inside. So it's like, guys, you can keep your jobs as journalists. Just like don't say an unnamed source familiar with Elon Musk's thinking says that last night he ate a baby at Mar-a-Lago. It's like
Right.
it's so I'm with you. I do have empathy towards it, but I'm also like, you keep burning your hand, and I really don't know what to tell you. I don't know if any of that even remotely makes sense.
Yeah, not the metaphor I would choose. It's a little close and personal to you, but I understand the point. Uh, yeah, so I saw um, somebody of more influence than both of us writing on Twitter the other day that it was amazing that the Democratic National Committee had handed, the Democrats have handed the Republicans uh, the battlefield on being anti-war, uh,
Yeah.
pro-healthy food. Uh,
Yes.
um, the Democrats are now the pro-pharma party. What?
That's what I
Uh,
mean is like you're not meeting him on any battlefield that you want to meet him.
yeah,
You're now the party that
they're
says
they're they're
McDonald's isn't
pro
that
they're
bad.
pro.
Like,
It was one of the people speaking on at CNP. They're pro late term abortion. They're pro. I think the way he put it was slaughtering babies in the womb. Uh, one of the things talking about the abortion that was a point was made was that you see all these howls now, even from the Speaker of the House. Well, we're going to stop the illegal immigration, but we're going to have accelerated green cards for well-qualified people because we need to supplement the labor force if we're going to move all these people back across the border. Um, and uh, and the point was made, well, if we hadn't had 70 million abortions, then we wouldn't have a population crisis, right? Um, so I thought that was a pretty compelling, very transactional, pragmatic point that hasn't been made before. But we, it is amazing that we've seen this flip flop, and the Democratic Party has become the party of the deep state in the intelligence community and everything. And meanwhile, they're advancing, genital mutilation, the right to genital mutilation of children uh, without informing their parents. Is how is that a well thought out winning position? Uh, so I'm just trying to emphasize your point that you've already made that uh, this is just somebody sent me a book the other day about clown world. Uh, it is kind of clown world that we're in. It's this, and it's hard. All this talk about that this is intentional cultural Marxism as a way for the CCP to surreptitiously undermine America and destroy American culture from within and all that. Well, that may be possible, but I don't have the documents to demonstrate that. But for sure, there is a category of people in the United States that have some degree of political influence that are advancing what is clearly a socialist agenda with a cultural Marxist angle to it. And it is incredibly destructive. And they don't seem to have any self awareness of what they're doing. And they don't seem to have any awareness of how destructive what they're doing is. And they don't seem to have any self reflection about the meaning of the last election. They're just, going to hammer it harder. And so that's really as I'm listening to the various bureaucratic machinations that are going on inside the Beltway right now. Like there's been a concerted, longstanding attempt to make it impossible for Trump to uh, um, reinitiate through executive order Schedule F, which would make the senior executive service at will employees so they could be fired if they don't do the will of the president. Um, that this kind of surreptitious, I think the proper political term is rat fucking, that's going on uh, is just accelerating now. They're dug in and they are not in any way repentant, and they're not reflective. We the other day I wrote an essay where I was quoting scripture a little bit, and I tried to go through and find scripture that related to revenge in various forms, different types of words. I couldn't find any. I couldn't find any quotations. It's all the scriptural quotations that relate to that general topic are all variants of turn the other cheek and forgive your enemy, uh, not 7 times, but 7 times 70, or whatever the quote is. Uh, um, we're those of us that are grounded in the Judeo-Christian tradition of ethics, etc., um, are are in a position where our philosophy, our morals, our logic all teaches us that we need to be forgiving and empathetic and understanding of our opponents, and our opponents are just playing Smash Mouth. And I can certainly understand where Steve is coming from, Bannon. That this famous quote that I heard him recite a little bit tongue in cheek. I'm just Robespierre. I want to line them all up and shoot them. I can certainly, for those, he went to jail.
Yeah.
Navarro went to jail on stuff that contempt of Congress charges that Democrats have routinely violated in multiple examples, and there hasn't been a single consequence. And yet these poor souls were sent down to Nanbury. And not to mention the J6 people. And it's the bottom line is, from my point of view, as somebody who may or may not find themselves in an administrative position, I have no tea leaves on that. I was asked to fill in the forms and submit them in a big rush on Sunday night, and I've done that, and it's cricket since. And so I'm not holding my breath, and frankly, if I'm not on the inside, it'll probably be better off financially because Substack is being very, very good to me. But as I've said, I'll serve my country to the best of my ability if I'm asked to do so. But I don't. Anybody who, and I'm running into many people. Oh, I want this position. I want that. I want to have this powerful position. I want to have influence. Blah blah blah. And number one, when I hear that from people, my immediate response is, well, you're exactly the kind of guy that we don't
Keep them
want to have
away.
in a position like
Keep them
that.
away.
Okay.
Get
And
away.
as far as I'm concerned, well, you just disqualified yourself. And the other is most of these people, they've been in the resistance. And I understand, Trump's criteria is he wants loyalty, and they want people that have um, been in the crucible, that have been tested and proven that they have a backbone and ability to withstand fire. And of course, we all want that with whoever's going to be in the foxhole with us. But a lot of these people have not a clue what they're walking into. The bureaucracy is deeply, deeply entrenched, and they do not want to change. And the irony is, if you think about it, step back, let's go 40,000 foot. The United States is economically failing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are hemorrhaging cash. We're basically over the event horizon in terms of the ability to service the debt.
Debt and pay
Uh,
insurance. Yep.
and our military, from a lot of assessments, our military cannot tolerate any more than one international war right now. And it has major threats on multiple fronts, not the least of which is Taiwan. And if Taiwan goes, then talk about critical infrastructure. Our chip capacity is gone. I heard a case made the other day. It turns out that the lithographic process, the printers that Taiwan uses, are made in, I think, Holland. So then the European Union becomes critical for national security. I mean, the whole cascade of allowing that started with Clinton, frankly, of allowing our manufacturing industrial infrastructure to go offshore, And we were just going to become the great imperialist money managers. I guess that's the business model. Um, that just is not sustainable in any kind of a conflict environment.
No.
You know,
Conflict always devolves to mass production.
yeah, precisely. It's
Always
all
does.
about how much you can put on the field, how much hardware. And yeah, technology can compensate for that to some extent, but are we that much more advanced? And that's one the argument I'm hearing is, oh yeah, we're so much more advanced. We're really going to accelerate in our artificial intelligence capacity and drones and everything in robots. But that seems kind of a lot of rah rah for our side jingoism. Um, and not, you know, if what's happened in Ukraine is any indication, uh, all we've managed to do is basically train up our opponents' forces pretty darn well. They're all battle hardened, and ours are busy doing DEI exercises.
Super advanced technology it's obviously super advanced, but it also we always use it against powers that are nowhere near peer, right? It's the only super advanced stuff we ever used against the Soviets was surveillance. We never went in and started striking stuff. The F-35 or the F-22, we're always doing that against guys in tents. And so, sure, with them, you don't need 100 fighter jets. Just have one. Go up there and you can hunt them all down. Doesn't, and not, I have no war experience or education, so I get that, but it doesn't, I mean, you're seeing in Ukraine, it just devolves into mass production. The most bodies, the most artillery shells, the most whatever. Um, but I also think that's kind of what we're doing in Ukraine. And I think that I think that we know that's what the third world war will be, unless it goes thermonuclear, but at that point nothing matters. I think we know that this is what World War III will look like, is what's happening in Ukraine. And I think that we are it's the lowest level of hell. I think we're purposely keeping this quagmire going, not just for the obvious of, selling weapons.
And bleeding out Putin.
But think about something like the Nevada test site, right? I mean, there's simple stuff, just like hitting, cardboard targets with bombs. And there's more advanced stuff, even like a kill house where you construct a house for like Delta Force to go do CQB in. But as you get more and more put more and more money into the R&D field, you can get some really cool, like the NSA SDS, the Special Collection Service. They put hard to reach, or they put surveillance bugs in hard to reach areas, things that like are hardened against satellites. That's your idea of like the James Bond, the guy in wherever Shanghai dropping a listening device somewhere. It's a super classified subsection of the NSA. They have their own facility where they model like cities and the electromagnetic ocean that it exists in. All of it's super advanced, but it's so that they can test super advanced stuff. So eventually it draws you out to go like, well, what would be the most advanced test site for like guerrilla warfare or even just mass production? You'd want to go out to the Nevada test site, you'd build a whole bunch of towns, and you'd want drones that are, like robots that walk around and, try to survive. And that's what Ukraine is it's a real life test site with self-aware individuals who have self-preservation. And you're not just running a 1 hour test or a 2 hour test of weapons. You want to see how it changes after 100 hours, 1,000
I
hours,
agree.
a
I
thousand
agree.
days.
This is how we play the game. We use these little small skirmishes to prove
It's
our technology.
R&D. We're seeing
Yeah.
what happens right now, and I fully believe we're looking
And
at these.
the sacrificial lamb is the youth of Ukraine.
And
Uh,
Russia.
yeah.
We're using that right now, and we're getting everything we see about drones, and we are looking at all of that, and I guarantee you every megabyte of that is being sent back, and that is being used to develop our new weapon
By the way,
systems of
Tommy,
drones.
the a question, outstanding question on the table for the
Yeah.
last 2 years for me and in general, in my lectures and writing, etc., is well, if we're in a world of fifth generation warfare, what is sixth generation warfare going to be? I think we now know. I think we now know that sixth generation warfare is basically going to be robot warfare. It's going to be Skynet.
Yeah, yeah, it's that's what it's eventually going to devolve to. It's going to be
Yeah,
drones versus drones, swarms versus swarms, EMP
yeah.
bursts versus EMP bursts. And
Robots
it's gonna,
versus robots.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
it's going to go
it's
back
gonna
to
be
production
the Clone
facilities.
Wars. It's all those metaphors that have
Well,
played out in
and
sci-fi.
and then where does it go? Well, then you go to where are the brains for the robots made? Computer chips. So now your main targets are going to be the computer chip factories before they can even make the robots. And then
Hence
before that,
Taiwan.
yeah, hence Taiwan. And give credit where credit's due. Biden's CHIPS Act is attempting to bring back that super advanced type of fabrication to the US, which to me is just one more thing to be like, yeah, we are absolutely getting ready for World War III. Why have we never done that before? Why now? Are we like, hey, you know what? Taiwan's way too much of a weak spot in our supply chain. We've never, yeah, I don't believe the Pentagon just didn't realize it. It's, which makes me think that they're not escalating in Russia to keep Trump out of office. I think that World War III has been on the table for years, if not a decade or more, and we're planning it. And it's coinciding with the CHIPS Act. It's coinciding with seeing the drone warfare in Russia, Ukraine. It's coinciding with Israel, Gaza. All the lines are being drawn. All the weapons manufacturing is being standardized in the EU. And then it's also in line with the biggest one, and that is servicing the debt. We're hitting a point that we no longer can. It's all leading up to a head to where you either die from debt or you kill the guy that you owe the money to. And we're doing all of that. And then it's gonna kick off under Donald Trump, Orange Man bad. And he's gonna absorb all the sins of our nation. And he's gonna go down as the worst president ever because World War III started under him. I think that's where it's all going. I think it's all
And
coalescing.
hyperinflation
Yeah. So it's all going to him.
and collapse of the petrobuck.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that's I so not to be dark, but I don't see how you can't conclude that um, right now celebration is premature. Uh,
Yeah.
but the flip side is the other main thread that I heard at CNP was uh, the logic of Make America Great Again, the logic of It's Morning in America, the logic of uh, um, recommitment to moral principles, the logic of Elon Musk, of a full-throated endorsement of American ingenuity, and a recommitment to that, a sense that I can tell you that the CNP meeting a year before this was a truly dark and foreboding environment in which we were all convinced that the opposition would cheat and would steal the election, and there wasn't much we could do about it. By the way, I think Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA gets a lot of credit for what went down. You can see it in the demographics. But a year ago, conservatives were in a dark mood, and now they sense the possibility of a recommitment and the ability to um, extend the American experiment. A lot of reminders that the 250th anniversary is going to occur during Trump's presidency and what that means and what that is as an opportunity. Uh, um, in a kind of a real underlying uh, spirit. It's not just a fight or a retaliation, but of kind of regeneration, recommitment. So that was also a key thread. But underneath that, without jingoism, people weren't. Um, there was a couple of moments where the group broke out in chanting USA, but uh, for the most part, it was kind of happy but sober, and very aware of the challenges being faced. But in seeing the responses to Trump's picks, which was your topic area that you advertised
Oh
on
yeah.
Twitter for Rumble, uh, um, he he is selecting people that are transformational leaders, and in most cases are people who want to take the fight to the opposition in a major way for various reasons, and um, and are not particularly well liked across the aisle. This is it seems like he is intentionally escalating the in your face or in your grill. Um, I'm going to do. I'm going to appoint people that are going to take you on, uh, and um, and it with each successive appointment, it almost seems to get more so. Matt Gaetz has just got DC in a tizzy right now. The prospect of him coming in, the talk about the FBI, um, running for the doors and running the paper shredder full time, uh, and uh, the backing down of the prosecution in New York State, uh, the special prosecutor backing down. Uh, it and the threats to prosecute any indication of uh, ballot malfeasance, electoral malfeasance. Uh, um, there's Trump clearly is he's not speaking like he wants revenge, but he does seem to be itching for a fight. And I can tell you that there's a number of people around Bobby that are, again, the network slogan, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's kind of where they're coming from. And I fear that if that becomes the emphasis, then the midterm elections will be blown uh, because the American public really doesn't like, you were talking about the pendulums. It doesn't like it when it swings too far either way.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's also probably hard to not go in with that energy when they,
Mm.
shot you in the face
Takes
in front of your family.
amazing maturity, right? To be able to have the fortitude to be Christian about this, right? To turn the other cheek is just a huge lift psychologically.
I think so. I think there's also the idea of like, suicide by cop. You didn't, you know, you and I are on the force. We didn't wake up and say, let's go shoot some people today. You might be hoping that it doesn't resort to it. But when the guy starts taking out a gun, very soon he's looking at you and you're going, don't do it. You're going to get shot. You're eventually it comes down to, well, now it's stupidity to not shoot him because either he's dying or you're not going home to your family. It's one or the other. And I think that I'm always for, be reasonable, be whatever. But, 2020 election stolen. All right. Well, that's okay. Well, that's in your face. 34 felony accounts, lawfare, jailing Navarro, Bannon, shutting down InfoWars, and then shooting him in the face in front of his family. Man, yet it gets to a point where we're going to turn the other cheek into our own death. And it doesn't mean that you enjoy it. It doesn't mean let's go get them all. But at a certain point, you have to look at it, look at what they've done, look what they've done to the border, look what they've done to inflation, look what they've done to energy production, look at what they've done to global stability. And at a certain point, it's like, dude, it is no longer hyperbole to say it is a death cult in every manner. It destroy reproductive genitals in children to escalating to over Ukraine. What? It's escalate over Taiwan. Ukraine, it's so clear that there is no even hinting or pretending that they're not demons from hell. And this is, yeah, it's like it is.
So
It's
I hear
getting,
you.
yeah. There's
That
kind
I
of,
mean, that's you
yeah.
just made a strong statement, but
I'm with
the
you. Stay Christian. Stay human. Don't lose your humanity. But then there's also like Trump's head should have been blown apart in 4K. Don't That was a couple months ago. And
right.
myself included, we all kind of forget that he just turned his head and we are a millimeter away from a parallel universe. That's what they wanted. And it's at a certain point you have to look at it and be like, or we're just gonna ride with them into the gates of hell. Like at a certain point, it's I have a, and this is from me where I mean this podcast is evidence. I've always been more of like be tolerant, be bipartisan. You have to establish, it can't just be tit for tat forever. I'm at a point now where I'm like, dude, they're going to kill us all, and it's through World War III, through vaccine mandates that's giving heart attacks to newborns, to shooting Trump in the face, and then there's just the FBI is just washing off the roof and going, yeah, nothing happened. It is so hardcore in your face to just flooding every small town in the United States with immigrants 5 times the population. I mean, at what point do you at what point do you act back? At what point is it are you not being Christian by by betraying your descendants? Because by
So
not
I
fixing the world, you're
here's my
yeah.
argument as somebody who might find themselves on the inside.
Yeah.
Uh, what Jill and I did was we were asked by somebody in the transition team. I'm not going to go down that pathway, but to lay out thoughts about how FDA could be reformed. And we did it without malice. We said, here are the things, bang, 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 multiple pages. Uh, and just business-like, workmanlike, saying this is what needs to be done. We need to focus on service and value for the shareholder, for the taxpayer, right? It's standard business approach. Uh, not retaliatory, not we're going to get those bastards because of what they did about the jab, but rather clearly we have a problem, Houston, and we got to fix it. And here's a roadmap to get it fixed. And Tommy, I haven't talked to anybody about this yet. I'm not sure I'm even going to write about it, probably. So to illustrate the point, so that went out yesterday in a couple of different ways, and it went out later. The first one was a repost, and that one was our Substack that went out like at 2 or 3. And I think it was even maybe 4 o'clock Eastern. So it didn't get a whole lot of traction among the general readership. Didn't generate a whole bunch of subscriptions or anything. But this morning in my inbox is an email from a recently retired FDA senior insider who broke off communication with me because I went on Tucker Carlson the first time and talked about the problems with the databases, which was something that was featured in my comments about how to reform the FDA. And at the time, he really got hot under the collar, said that, Tucker just wants to bring Biden down, and I was acting to bring Biden, just he branded. Um, uh, and then I get this email this morning, and he's thanking me for the positions, saying, I hope you get an appointment in that agency. Everything you said was on the mark. It absolutely needs to happen. There's a number of people on the inside that firmly believe in what you're saying. And furthermore, here's more examples, blank, 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 of things that should be done to further expand these points that you've made. Point is, this is somebody that, in terms of the political spectrum, we might think of as the enemy. But by taking a mature workmanlike approach to this that was not retaliatory, just the facts, ma'am. These things clearly are broken. They clearly need fixing. Here's ways we can fix them. Uh, he came over, and the icing in the cake, getting back to our core topic, is that I think a lot of these folks that are center left uh, are persuaded by the Make America Healthy Again logic and the positions of Bobby Kennedy, which, the press right now, the press has got, they're a dog with a bone, and the bone is called Matt Gaetz. But you can just guarantee that as soon as they finish chewing on that one and on, the latest recycling of his transgressions with a 17-year-old or whatever the thing is that they're beating on, which they've already beaten him up for, over multiple years in the past. I don't think there's anything new they're going to be able to reveal. There's some lawyer that's saying that he knows some dirt on somebody right now. They're going to pivot from that to trying to accelerate again the delegitimization of Bobby Kennedy. And here's the problem. The polls are coming in. Generally speaking, people don't like Matt Gaetz uh, on both sides of the aisle. They like Bobby Kennedy. And so I like Matt. I've met him. I've testified in front of him. I think he's smart. I think he is somebody who is battle tested and has been run through the ringer in the same way that I have, maybe even worse, but maybe that's just because nobody could dig up transgressions. My big transgression is that when I was 16, I had we'll call it a girlfriend who was 15, but I happened to have married her and remain married to her. And so that doesn't have a whole lot of traction in the expose
Scandalous.
world.
Scandalous.
Yeah. So, but clearly Bobby has just skeletons on top of skeletons on top of skeletons, and he's pretty much said, "Yep, I got a lot of skeletons." And they've all already, the closet has been open for a very long time, and have at it, guys. Do your best or do your worst. I it's a different world now. Looping back to what we were talking about earlier about the media, um, for better or worse, I think Trump gets the footnote in history of being the first podcast president. And this was another note that was hit at CNP was we have to be conservatives, need to actively engage in new media and recognize that while the podcast may be the cool and hip thing now, it isn't, it may well be supplanted by other communication
It
technologies
it
in the next 2
100%
years.
will. It 100% will. It all will. The phone, the biplane, it's all the radio, FDR's fireside chats to Trump on Rogan. Of course, it will change.
Yeah, so it is we are in a somewhat new battlefield. It's one that you and I have been talking about in talking about the book and our many podcasts over time. So for us, it may seem like, yeah, so what? We've been seeing this develop now for multiple years, but most people haven't.
Mm.
And it's fascinating looking at the book reviews on Amazon to the extent that we're getting them. I wish more people would write reviews, but and it seems like Amazon apparently is making it hard to find the book, but you have to search for the specific term, no space between psi and war. You'll never find it.
That's why I
But
put the direct hyperlink in the description.
right. Thanks. So, but if you read the reviews, getting back to that, um, a small minority are basically saying this sounds a lot like a conspiracy theory, but they document everything. Um, uh, it's uh, we're we are in the throes, like I said, of a fifth generation civil war, a media information war designed to control your mind. The battlefield is your mind, uh, and um, and it's not slowing down. Uh, and when we see, like I know this journalist. I helped her out once years ago. Her name is Cheryl Gay Stolberg. She works for the New York Times. Um, and I knew her when she was much more young and kind of hungry. And I helped her in coverage about the Jesse Gelsinger death at the hands of Jim Wilson at UPenn, the gene therapy death. And she got a lot of kudos for that and her reporting, et cetera. I don't know if she got a Pulitzer, but she, it certainly amplified her. But she put out, after Bobby's nomination, she put out this essay that was just disgusting. It was just a laundry list of all of the crap that's been thrown at Bobby over the last 2 years. It's like she looked through everything all the trolls wrote and then kind of line by line summarized it and called it an essay and printed it in the New York Times. And I read that. I was so disappointed because there wasn't anything there about his policies, his positions, his evolution. I mean, Bobby today is not the Bobby that launched his campaign in Boston. I know that for a fact. Uh, Jill and I once asked him some questions about Agenda 2030, and he kind of gave us the duh what response. That was 2 years ago. That is not what you would hear from him now. He has a lot more understanding about the globalist agenda, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, all of that. I mean, he's come a long way over the last 2 years of being in the crucible of this election. And these kind of simplified stereotypes about who he is and what his positions are, they just, they, the almost the kindest thing you could say is they're lying. It's either they're consciously lying or they're enormously self-deluded. Because the positions they're taking don't represent where Maha is at. They don't represent where the Trump administration is at. And we also had a address from Vivek Ramaswamy at the meeting, and talking about where he was coming from with Elon Musk. I mean, those two guys are going to move through the federal bureaucracy. One of the Ben Garrison, I think, put it together a little meme clip with the two of them holding a flamethrower to the DC bureaucracy. They're going to methodically move through, just like was done in Twitter. In the only restriction that it is not going to give them the ability to act like Javier Milei in Argentina is that we have congressional statute restrictions that are going to make it a lot harder to change or eliminate a lot of these divisions and programs like the uh, um, Department of Education. Department of Education is authorized by Congress. The president can't just go in and kill it. Uh, but he can redirect it. And I think that trying to focus on your topic area, we have with these nominal appointments yet to be confirmed, we have a group of combat hardened transformational leaders that have a clear idea, and it's getting clarified by the day of how to um, remove the kind of surreptitious socialist influences that have pervaded our government, and to rekindle American society, American innovation, reimagine it along unabashedly nationalist terms, uh, and to, in many ways, pull back from the imperial state. That what we're in is a situation in which the imperial state and all of its apparatus, together with its globalist extensions, because that's kind of what they are, uh, is is going to fight tooth and nail this center right populist movement, and that's the Civil War. That's the Civil War we're facing, and this kind of, and the paradox that we were talking about earlier about the Democratic Party now being the party of pharma and war and all these other things, and unrestricted immigration, etc. Uh, that's all aligned with kind of that uh, different vision of America as a globalist superpower imperium. It's as if the citizens of Rome have decided that they were going to overthrow the Praetorian Guard and the Roman Senate, uh, and or certainly they are empowering surrogates to do so for them. We'll see if 2 years from now they still have an appetite for that. But I think that with the nomination battles that are coming up, what we're going to see is unrestricted information warfare, because for them it truly is an existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they are looking at their worldview having a major setback, and they are looking at major waves of job loss in their core supporters. And they are looking at repudiation of a series of wackadoodle policies that they've advanced over particularly the last 4 years, but really since Obama came in. And so for them, it's everything that they've worked for decades now is at risk because of the Orange Man, who they've done everything they could to destroy. I mean, just everything on the map that they could do to destroy him, they've done, and it didn't work. It backfired. Oh my God. And so now they're in the position of really becoming, it's not just anti-populist, they're kind of um, uh, against the American citizenry. The idea that a clear majority of American citizens voted in this way seems to be resulting in not a moment of reflection, but a widespread effort to just reject those people as legitimate participants in American politics and American political dialogue. They shouldn't have a voice. The extreme iteration being, we're not going to have sex with them and we're going to shave our heads, is just one embodiment of that. But it's I don't know how this gets resolved, frankly. I don't know how a fifth generation war ends. Does it just perpetuate itself forever? Does the sniping and bitchiness and surreptitious attacks and divisiveness just carry on ad infinitum into the future? The building of a parallel cabinet, a shadow cabinet, the building of a donor base to take down Trump's appointments and take down this populist movement. back, take down Bobby. It's so transparent. The sudden surge of these NGOs that are being launched to literally take down Bobby Kennedy, and nobody's saying, "Hello, pharma. Who's backing this? Where's all this money suddenly coming from? Uh, um, who is it that he threatens with his message of improving food safety?" And asking for full disclosure about vaccine efficacy and risks. What ox is being gored? We all know the answer, but that force. Imagine what's going on in the Senate right now. There has got to be a flood of lobbyists stalking the halls, divvying out the goodies right now, trying to get senators to reject Bobby. And I think the big question is, will the American people see through it?
Um, Real quick, can you tell everyone where to get the book? I gotta use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, where to get the book? I'm told. So the official party line is wherever good booksellers are selling books. But you can buy it from the publisher, Skyhorse. You can most easily get it from Amazon because they have Kindle and they have the audio book that I've recorded. It's like 16 hours. So it'll cover lots of time on your commute or while you're doing chores. And you can get the Kindle version again from Amazon. So you can get the hardback a lot of different places. The Kindle and the audio book, I think, might only be available from Amazon. And the book Lies My Government Told Me and the Better Future Coming, which now suddenly seems to be getting a little bit of a resurgence because new people are coming in that are aware that they've been lied to, can also be found in the same kind of places, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and Skyhorse, the publisher, as well as a number of other books in the Skyhorse portfolio, like Bobby Kennedy's The Real Anthony Fauci, another one that at the time was seen as so controversial, the New York Times wouldn't allow it to go on their bookseller list, even though it should have been, and wouldn't write a review of it. But I think now there's this emerging consensus in favor of the positions that Bobby put out in that book. And we have now Bob Redfield, the former director of the CDC, who is pretty much an ultimate insider in the infectious disease world, kind of the right-hand lieutenant to Bob Gallo, who went toe-to-toe with Tony Fauci and lost over who was going to control the AIDS budget. Bob Redfield of the CDC disclosing that he thinks that Ralph Baric is the one that engineered the virus and then shipped it over to Wuhan Institute of Virology, where it was leaked, but that it originally came from Ralph Baric's operation. I think that a lot of these shoes that have been waiting to drop now are starting to fall. And another one, just a heads up for those of you insiders watching Tommy's podcast, is it may come out in various ways that these college campuses and big hospitals were paid by the government, by Fauci, to implement these mandates by way of an interesting little trick. They were funded to do research on overcoming vaccine hesitancy. They got big money to do that. And all these poor souls that were multiply jabbed on campuses and forced into these mandate positions, they're going to have to grapple with the fact that their university leadership took money in order to implement those policies. And when that shoe drops, the question is another wave of younger people, the ones that are populating the little red bubbles of the little blue bubble surrounded by red rural, are they going to wake up and suddenly say we've been had? Because it's obviously the college age and younger, particularly males, that are the most susceptible to a lot of these adverse events, particularly the myocarditis. And and the data is coming in. The whole, oh, it's just transient and superficial. It's not like viral myocarditis. It's all going to go away. You're going to be fine. That storyline is failing. And there's a page, I don't know whether it was a slip up or not, at Cleveland Clinic, in which I think it was, that's asserting that this myocarditis may have a 50% case fatality rate over 5 years. Certainly, viral myocarditis, what I've heard again and again is that the jab-induced myocarditis, clinical myocarditis, that means it takes you to the hospital or to your doctor, is running at what looks like is going to be a cumulative something like 15% case fatality rate. And that's not small numbers. And that's biased towards youth. So we're way far being out of the woods. And the federal government at some point is going to have to take ownership for what they've done. And in particular, they're going to have to come clean about the fact that they have, and the universities have damaged not just our military, but a large fraction of our youth, and the youth that thought they were doing the right thing, going to university, being good students, doing their duty, not staying home and just playing video games and living in mom's basement. Uh, those, I don't know what's going to happen when they come to terms, that age cohort, with what they've been subjected to, let alone the younger ones that have had to go through the school shutdowns and had their high school years destroyed, or their for the young ones, their ability to learn language because they've been masked up. Uh, um, there's a reckoning coming in so many different ways. There's a reckoning coming about the destruction of our military. There's a reckoning coming about the destruction of our finances. There's a reckoning coming about the destruction of our currency, a reckoning coming about the destruction of our health in so many ways. The jab is just the most egregious example. And I don't see, they can kick and scream about the Maha and MAGA agenda, but and they can wage fifth generation civil war against it, but in the end, I don't see there's an alternative to really reimagining and relaunching our government, because the government that exists right now has destroyed its own legitimacy through its policies, in my opinion. Welcome back.
When you said how does this end, it I think its ending was supposed to be July 13th shooting Trump. And it would either be the total coup or the ensuing civil war. But we dodged, I mean, we had two options and we somehow dodged both. And so I think the only natural way it now ends is for the leader coming in with a mandate from the public to establish a governing body or a series of whatever that's going to rout out the thing that currently exists. Now, they're not going to go down without a fight. They've already tried shooting him, which is like DEFCON 1, and it didn't work. But now he's the president elect, so they can't do that again. So,
Well, not necessarily.
no, yeah, it'll be harder. It'll be
Yeah,
harder.
it'll be harder.
Um,
The blowback will be bigger.
I don't think that I think it ended one of two ways. They either killed Trump and then quashed a civil war or set up a dictatorship, or they miss Trump and he goes in and removes them. I think we are circling the drain and one isn't going to make it. I hope it stays peaceful. It seems like by shooting missiles in Russia that they're really going to do everything. Uh, but we're at a point where I don't think it can keep going tit for tat. It's no longer mean tweets and podcasts. It's in its death throes now, which either one, us or them. But I don't think that this just keeps going. I think that,
Tommy, maybe now is I could take a moment to read a little something from the book.
sure.
Um, it's the final chapter. People run into the book, and this is the Psywar book, and a lot of times they are really there's a lot of words. It's not an easy read. That's the truth. And I I I often recommend that people read the last chapter first. The last chapter is called The Battle of Evermore, and it's derived from the um, uh, speech that I gave in Geneva when we were there fighting against the uh, World Health Organization international health regulations that they jammed through in the last minute of the last day after dinner um, illegally. So it starts Battle of Evermore, chapter 37, a quote from Voltaire. Anyone who has the power to make you believe absurdities has the power to make you commit injustices. So here's the speech. We all sense an impending battle. I wrote this 6 months ago. We all sense an impending battle, but do we know who is friend and who is foe? Do we actually understand who our allies and our opponents are? Who is right and who is wrong? What is true and what is propaganda? Simple stereotypes will not lead to victory. Both sides on these battle lines think they represent the future. Both sides think they're working to save the world. All passionately believe they fight for the common good. On one side, with a sense of noblesse oblige, a transnational elite works to advance a unified, globalized, centralized political and economic world order. A world order based on a command economy rooted in massive databases, computational modeling, predictive artificial intelligence-driven decision-making, and the merging of man and machine to create a new species. Fulfilling this objective is believed to require universal surveillance, propaganda powered by modern psychology, algorithmic censorship, cultural homogenization, and centralized automated economic controls and resource allocation. We believe that this will be a digital, technocratic, and bureaucratic hell. We believe that Yeats' young rough beast, its hour come round at last, now slouches towards Geneva to be born. The speech was in Geneva. We believe in humanity, and we believe in the divine. We believe in the pragmatic benefits of the principle of subsidiarity. Decision-making authority should be decentralized to the lowest level possible, where it can be exercised most effectively. Local authorities should be responsible for matters that can be handled at that level rather than relying on higher authorities. Decisions should be made as close to the affected individuals or communities as possible. We believe in decentralization, nationalism, unique cultural identities, individual and national sovereignty, and the power of human innovation. Globally centralized planning and control will destroy the ability of individuals, cultures, and nations to innovate. Globalized, centralized planning and control will kill the motivation and ability of the human race to adapt to changing conditions. Do we really need another example before we can learn this lesson, or does each era need to recycle history? Elevating a new global centralized nobility will not lead to prosperity, innovation, and effective adaptation. It will destroy these things. We've seen the failure of this approach over the last few years of the COVID crisis and throughout recorded history. How many more examples do we need? We believe in the power of diversified, independent human thought, decentralized interconnectedness, cultural heritage, and freedom. In this coming battle, we do not know which vision will prevail. We do not know. What we do know is that old imperialistic models are outdated, and old empires and old ways of geopolitical thinking faced imminent collapse, but they will not go quietly into the night. And what we are absolutely sure of is that censorship will not save the current versions of imperialism, which hide behind a propagandized definition of democracy. and that the weaponization of fear of infectious disease to control human behavior is ethically evil, and that those who deploy these unethical practices to advance their objectives of political power, profit, and control should be shamed and condemned. The use of psychological bioterrorism is wrong and it must stop. For the sake of our children, we must oppose transhumanism and weaponized fear, and we must insist on freedom, damn it. So that's the closing chapter. I think it still summarizes where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I think that um, we don't know who's friend and who's foe. That's the nature of this fifth generation warfare battlefield we're in. And both sides think that they are the ones that represent the future. Our opponents firmly believe in the principles of neo-Malthusianism, that the human species is destroying the planet and will continue to do so until their population numbers are reduced and their ability to consume resources is constrained. And that there's nothing to be done about that. That can't be overcome through innovation. And as a consequence, we have to control people, that it's absolutely necessary that there be a technocratic elite serving the oligarchy that has the right, that as a human species, we've forfeited the right to autonomous decision making. And we have to be told what to do, like we're children. And that's we can use words like socialism to describe this, or cultural Marxism or whatever, but it came in with the thesis that things have to be fair. It boils down to the idea that there has to be equality of outcomes, not equality of opportunity. And that was not what we bought into, what our founders bought into. That was not the core thesis. And once you go down that pathway of we're going to have equalized outcomes and wealth distribution and everything that comes along with that, you talk about the ninth circle of hell. That's where we go here. And Trump somehow has, it seems, almost an intuitive understanding of this. I don't know if it's because he's a real estate developer forged in the crucible of New York City, or what it is about him, with all of his character quirks, let's say gently, that has made it so that he became the standard bearer for freedom. But he did. It happened. And partly as a consequence or blowback to the heavy-handed attempt to destroy him. And the whole meme that just seems to be so fundamentally true. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you. I'm just standing in the way. That in one sense, that's profoundly narcissistic. In another sense, it's profoundly true. So I can tell you that the conservatives in my world are ready to do battle. They are absolutely committed to the fight, to transforming this nation back towards foundational principles, to constitutionalism. And they are very aware that right now, at this moment in time, they're about to find themselves in control of House, Senate, Executive, and Supreme Court. And there's a good chance that during these next 4 years, Trump is going to solidify a Supreme Court majority that will dominate the American jurisprudence, not just in the Supreme Court, but in the district courts, in the appellate courts, that is going to dominate jurisprudence in the United States for a large fraction of our remaining lives. And they're acutely aware that they can't blow it. They have to treat this seriously. And my fear is that a number of these folks um, are mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. And the temptation to retaliate is so strong after what people have been subjected to. And yet I don't hear that in Donald Trump. Somehow, after all that he's been subjected to, he does seem to be rising above it. And if I was him, I've been in the frying pan a bit over the last 4 years, but nothing like what he has. And I got to admit, I said it the other day in an essay, I'm angry. That's the to be truthful about my underlying emotional state. I am angry. Um, I I I think I ought to be compensated for the crap that they've done to me. Uh, in doing everything they can to destroy my reputation in a systematic way. And I'm one of many. Mary Talley Bowden, Pierre Corey, Jessica Rose, and Mark Trozy are under threat from the Canadian government to be jailed right now. The stuff that's been thrown at us for just speaking honest scientific and medical truth that is being validated in real time now. Uh, we in any kind of a just world, we would be compensated for that, but it ain't going to happen. And uh, I know that if I find myself on the inside of the administration, I have to um, consciously check that anger at the door, and I have to just be professional. I have to rely on every bit of professionalism I've ever learned, and just try to get the job done of fixing the things that are broken and not get sidetracked into retaliation and tit for tat and revenge. Again, I'm still amazed that many people have never heard the saying, if you go seeking revenge, first dig two
Yeah.
graves. Uh, um, it's going to be so hard to remain objective and professional and keep your eye on the task. But if the growing center right populist conservative movement, whatever you want to call it, MAGA, MAHA, um, libertarianism, uh, anarcho-capitalism, whatever phrase you want to apply in that spectrum, uh, if those that are advancing those principles lose focus on the objective, which is bringing our society back to a place that values freedom and individuality and innovation, then we deserve what will happen to us in the midterm and later. And these forces that are arrayed against us will be re-empowered. And I don't know if we can win another battle if we can get it to this place again in my lifetime. So I think these appointments that Trump is making, this is a collection of warriors. Tulsi, images of Tulsi with the casings flying from her handgun. That woman, as director of national intelligence, I'm sure she knows what she's getting into, and I'm pretty sure that she's up for the fight. I don't know if she's going to win or lose, but she's going to be there in the battle. But these are a bunch of warriors, and they are going to be subjected to some significant fire, including friendly fire, over the next few months. What conservatives are saying is they would really like these people to be vetted and confirmed so that they're able to get to work the day after the inauguration. Uh, I suspect that's not going to happen. And there's, another thread that's being developed is uh, that the Constitution says the Senate has the right to advise and consent on presidential appointments. But this kind of run them through the meat grinder, sausage maker, and try to, you know, destroy them. That's in over months. That's not what was envisioned in the Constitution, and there's a lot of talk about Trump pushing back against those Senate processes. One of the things that's happened with the Senate is when what is it, the 14th Amendment that separated the Senate away from its responsibilities to the states, the Senate has become like, talk about a good old boys club. It's become a self-serving club that kind of exists only to advance its own privilege. And um, that, they I don't think they have the right to overrule the will of the voters. And the will of the voters is that Trump and what he represents be allowed to engage in this experiment of revitalization of the American economy and American culture. Uh, and I personally stand with Bannon. I think that Trump ought to have uh, the right to choose his fellow uh, leaders to enact the agenda that he has a clear mandate for. And so there's my wrap up comment about our general topic of Bobby, the appointments, and what's about to come. It's going to be, unless the new majority leader goes against what many of us expect of him, which is basically Rhino land and Uniparty, unless he recognizes that he's going to be up against this populist wave, and this is not the time to go against the American electorate. We're going to have an ugly battle, uh, and um, and I don't know who's going to survive. Uh, um, Personally, I think Matt Gaetz is a uh, um, given what's gone down in the Department of Justice, I think he's a good choice. He is absolutely going to clean house, and the house needs to be cleaned with a fire hose. It's a commercial grade pressure washer challenge, uh, with heat, right? Um, uh, and TSP. It's going to take some real work, and I don't even know. The State Department. Trump, when I don't know if you remember when Trump came in before, there was just howls of indignation about how many people were laid off and kicked out of the State Department. Uh, what most people don't know is this senior executive service that runs the bloody country, that was put in place by Jimmy Carter, didn't exist before Jimmy Carter. Okay. Carter put it in, senior executive service. They have their own flag. And when Obama came in, he, talk about packing the Supreme Court, he packed the SES. He greatly expanded the FTE and the SES, and then he packed him with his DEI based supporters. And those people are all entrenched. They can't be fired right now. They are there to advance his agenda. That's how they were put in that position. And as if that's not bad enough, a lot of these folks that were put in place by Biden that are at risk for finding themselves wandering in the wilderness for 4 years in DC and seeking out think tank jobs, they are busy trying to convert their politically appointed positions into SES slots. They call it burrowing in. So that they can continue to do whatever it is and support whatever agenda it is that they've been working on. and be able to resist the incoming appointments. That's and they've been working hard to make it so that Schedule F can't be implemented. They are entrenched is I think the right metaphor. They have entrenched, uh, and they are ready to do battle. And they don't want change. They don't want to be laid off. They don't want to have new blood and new thinking coming in. And meanwhile, talk about fiddling while Rome burns. Meanwhile, the budget has exploded. There's no other option than to clean house, even if it's not for political purposes. There's no other option than to downsize the bureaucracy and the Social Security socialist state, the entitlement state. And meanwhile, as we were talking about, we have serious multilateral external threats, military threats. And our military has just been eviscerated by these DEI policies and a whole lot of other things. And so we can't afford our military. We can't afford our entitlements. We can't afford this massive bureaucracy. And yet, all these people are going to fight tooth and nail to preserve their privilege and their jobs. And something's got to give. And hence, me reading that final chapter. There is a war. There's a war right now, whether or not you recognize it. And it's about to heat up even more. And all of this, everybody on our side wants to celebrate the win, and God bless us all. It's better than the alternative. But it is a skirmish. It's a battle that we've won. It is absolutely not the war.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. Don't celebrate too early. Conversely, also, I think it's good for morale. And I think it's like surviving a round of playoffs. You don't win the championship, but you didn't get knocked out. Well, you absolutely should be like, fuck yeah, we made it. There's another
Yeah,
round.
take the win,
Yeah, there's
take the
another
win, but
round.
don't take your eyes off the
No, no, no,
prize.
no. But that's how I look at it. It's like March Madness or something. Like you should absolutely celebrate winning a round. Like that's awesome. You got to wake up and fight tomorrow. But there's also nothing wrong with being like, hell yeah, we did it. Because it's good. I mean, for 4 years, it's like you said, everyone and their mother thought it was going to be stolen, and it wasn't. Hey, take like the mental health day and be like, all right, we're still going. All right, we're still
Yeah,
going. It's
fair
not
enough.
hot. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
We
And
gotta keep
maybe I'm
going.
I'm
There,
maybe I'm too close to the fire right now, but I had a few days of quiet smiling
yeah. No,
and
it's
and peaceful, a sense of peace and quiet inside myself. And now I came back from this weekend just going, oh shit.
it. I mean, I think I've probably developed it from this podcast of like it's a marathon. It's going. It's always just ongoing. It's also okay to like take tiny wins. You get a big guest or you have a show that really hits the algorithm. That's good because it's not a sprint. So when you get that win, it's okay to be like, awesome. Like, awesome, I did it. It doesn't mean you're done, doesn't mean wrap it up, but I think it's very important to take that win because it's a morale is real. There's a reason why that's such like a huge thing. Propaganda
Yes.
is real. Demoralization is real. So the alternative is also real. And it's use it as a weapon. Be like, we gotta win. Like, take it. Okay, awesome. It doesn't mean stop fighting, but it's I think it's disadvantageous to not utilize a victory, even if it's just you're not as tense for a couple days. If anything, it means that you can go into that meeting, where you had the oh shit moment, but you're coming off a couple days of smiling. You're like, all right, let's go get it. If it's nonstop every day you're gonna burn out. You're gonna spiral and explode. you got it's I would much rather be at a point now where it's like, okay, Trump won. They didn't blow his head off. Now we have to worry about how he's going to get these appointments in. I'll take that battle all day, every day, rather than like, oh, they
That's right.
shut down the election, they blew Trump's head off. I should probably maybe, I don't know, go to the woods. Like, yeah, it'll never be ideal, but I'll much rather take this
Fair
win
enough.
and move
And
forward.
it's always important to try to close these things on an uplifting moment,
Yeah,
just
yeah, you
respect
can't.
for our audience.
Yeah, you can't
So
spiral downwards. You can't. You gotta stay up. You gotta stay. I mean, they made Bobby Kennedy the head of the agent. Like that's hilarious. Like that's
yeah,
fucking hilarious. Like it's yeah. So doesn't mean it's over, but I'll take this fight. It's like the quote about dieting and exercising. You suffer the pain of discipline or you suffer the pain of regret, but there's no world in which you're not suffering. So like I'll take the pain of being like, how are we going to get Bobby Kennedy through? Instead of
yeah.
like, man, yeah, so the military's rolling in on Republican cities and massacring people. It's a fight
But
regardless.
Tommy,
So
on that
yeah,
note,
yeah,
there is a slime campaign ongoing about Bobby.
of
Uh,
course there is. Why
People
wouldn't there
writing
be?
into their senators and everything else.
Of
And
course.
so, if we accept the thesis that we are in a fifth generation war, then those who are with you, that somehow we got to get him through, take the time to correspond with your senator in whatever way you can, because the opponents are busy blasting with bots and everything else. Um, all of those swing senators that are in a position that they could kibosh that appointment. And they need to hear from our side too. And so I think that's a if people are asking what can I do right now, what you can all do that's relevant to the topic of today's podcast is if you support these appointees, then say so. Do something. Don't just sit on your butt or talk to somebody else in the bar over a beer. Actually get on your bloody laptop and write something to your senator or make a call into the Capitol switchboard and ask them to connect to your senator's office and voice your opinion. That actually does matter. And it is something that everybody that's listening to this podcast can do that will have an impact. And right now, we've got a few people out there that are vocal supporters in the Senate and a lot of fence setters. And so let's help those fence setters find their courage, their moral backbone, by letting them know that their electorate that put them in that position is um, wants to see Trump have his way and have the team that he has selected to work with him to try to implement the policies that he said he's going to implement. And I think that's kind of fair and just. That's the right thing to do is give him, we're going to have the whole populace will have another shot in 2 years. And if they think that Trump and his team are not performing, then they can flip the House and it'll all come to a screeching halt. Or if the MAGA and MAHA initiatives are able to move forward and they don't overreach and they deliver on their promises, like Trump has given Bobby the specific mandate that he wants to see demonstrable statistical improvement in Americans' health within 1 year. Ramaswamy and Musk have been told that they have to cut trillions out of the budget. And they're going to be held accountable for that. That's if nothing else about Donald Trump, his brand is you're fired, and he has the fortitude to follow through on that. And so let's let him have his shot, uh, and see if he can deliver. If he's the executive that he thinks he is, and that we believe he is, we collectively, the American people, have decided that of the options available to us, that was the one that we selected. And absolutely, the rest of the world is watching. Alliance for Deutschland, Reform Party in the UK, Marie Le Pen's party, the Brothers of Italy, these center-right populist movements all across the Western world are all watching what's going to happen. I mean, if we collectively, not necessarily I, but if Bobby's initiative in HHS matures, if he's allowed to do it, there are going to be mic drop moments coming, like automatic weapon fire, about what went down during the COVID crisis. And that is going to trigger all kinds of change across the West, in New Zealand, in Australia. These governments that have resorted to these totalitarian tactics are going to have to confront the consequences of what they've done, because they have screwed up big time. And so has the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and so has the World Economic Forum, and so has the United Nations and the World Health Organization. And all we need is to shine some light under those rocks. And it's going to blow stuff up left and right, because when people know, I believe they're going to be proper pissed off, because they have been lied to. And if Bobby is allowed to have his way with things, and by extension, Trump is allowed to have his way, that stuff is going to come out. The stuff about JFK's assassination and RFK's assassination is going to come out. All kinds of information about the dirty tricks that have been going on is going to come out. We're going to learn more about Victoria Nuland than we ever wanted to know, and what's gone on in Ukraine, and the truth behind the biolabs, et cetera, that so many people have been speculating about. You know, to have the former director of CDC, Bob Redfield, come out saying on a podcast that he thinks this virus was engineered by Ralph Baric in the United States, that is
Insane.
explosive. And there's just going to be a series of those things, and the global ramifications, because this thing went global, are going to cascade. And what's on the other side, I don't know. But it is a moment where, what's the quote? Shakespearean quote: "Cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war."
Mm-hmm.
And I think, that we can't carry that metaphor too far. I really strongly advise, speaking for myself and hopefully for a lot of people that of a certain age, that we have to be the grown-ups. The Maha and Mega moment is one in which it's easy to get out the pitchforks and the torches. And if we do that, we will lose the midterm, I guarantee. But if we come in and behave like grown-ups, and just professionally, methodically, business-like, put our shoulder to the wheel and clean house and get this stuff done without malice, we could transform this into a decade or more of American progress. And that's the vision that Steve Bannon laid out. That's the vision that's behind what's going on down in Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach right now. Is if we put our shoulder to the wheel, all of us, we may enable a better future for our children. And that's worth doing. And it's worth setting aside the malice and just understandable desire to line them all up and shoot them, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's It's tectonic plates coming together. It, I don't think it's avoidable. Whatever
Yeah.
there's just a lot
It's
of bills
like I
coming
said in
due.
that chapter, the battle is here, whether
It's
you recognize it or not.
yeah, I mean, you can wish all you want that you weren't alive at this time, but you are, so you know.
I think it's a marvelous time to be alive.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean.
What
It's
an
like
opportunity to actually make a difference.
absolutely. I mean, but really, I mean, we are on the, as Elon Musk said, it's either the fork in the road of like spacefaring civilization or the kind of the self-imploding death cult. I mean, I try to look like a little bit past I just, that we get through. I get excited thinking about like how cool will it just be to see space exploration. That's not even like my forte. That's not even something I've like necessarily been into in my life. But there's something exciting about that. Like just to like see like giant like there is something so like elementarily cool about just giant rockets taking off.
Which
Like
Gene Roddenberry tapped into in the 60s, right? That breakthrough series was basically an embodiment of America's hopes.
I mean, it's just I mean like rockets are cool. I know this sounds like caveman, but they're giant.
Especially ones that go up and then they come
Like
back down and they catch them
like
with a gantry.
like how hardcore is it gonna be to like be watching the news and being like seeing like a dude step out on Mars? Like that's just cool. And like that's a possibility. I don't know. I try to do that with the podcast. I always try to have like a carrot at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, end of the year. I always try to have some little reward I'm working towards because above all else, like a simple thing that kind of makes you smile or attracts you towards it is the strongest magnet. Just like that's cool. It's all good to do the right thing, do the moral thing, do the ethical thing, do the financial thing, all that. But there's something about just even just imagining like whatever Space Shuttle 2.0, just seeing people walk like that's so cool. That's just so cool. And I try to look towards things like that just
Well, how about
draw me
this,
in.
uh, Tommy? A geosynchronous tethered uh, space station.
Like a space
Are
elevator?
you familiar with that? Yeah, with an elevator,
Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah, space elevator. Like it can be so cool. That's how I try
Yeah.
to look at it. Like it should just be
Yeah,
like I want
we have as a species infinite potential.
the game
And
like we're on the
that's the
first
problem
block
with
of
the
the game.
neo-Malthusians.
Yeah.
That's the problem with this whole dark vision of transhumanism is it totally disrespects human innovation and the proven ability of our species, for better or worse, to solve problems, to engineer our way around obstacles.
I had a guy on here years ago, and we'll wrap it up with this. I had a guy on here years ago that was a nuclear fusion researcher, and I was asking, I was like, is it like military power or just defense or what emergency? And he was like, I take the mindset of we shouldn't be scaling back and use less energy and take shorter showers and all that. He was like, rather, everyone should live like an American. You should have the windows open in the summer with the air conditioner on because that's what fusion energy can bring. It was like just win so much that that's how you deal with the problems. Or like Wolf of Wall Street. If you have a problem, pick up the fucking phone and dial. Your bills aren't paid, pick up the phone and fucking dial. You want a convertible car, you're tired of your fat wife yelling at you, pick up the phone and dial. And that's how I tend to look at things. It's not to ignore the problem, but rather to deal with it by just dialing up the method of victory by orders of magnitude. And like that's how it's running out of resources, go find another planet. Like, we have 10 trillion people here. You inhabit the asteroid belt. Like that's how I think it should move forward is just take the hunter-gatherer method to the universe. That's so much more exciting. then
Okay.
like no, you're not
Yeah.
allowed to say hot
So,
chicks
Tommy,
anymore. Yeah.
I got an idea.
Yeah.
Let's make America great again.
Oh, there you go. Like that. That's simple. There you go. No, we gotta dial down the global order. Fuck that. More McDonald's, more pickup trucks, more guns. Like just turn up the dial. That's how it should go. And that's my mindset. And so in that sense, I think it's very fun. But
We've been going at it for 2 hours.
yeah, let's wrap it
This
up.
is almost a Rogan episode here.
Almost. Yeah. If people always ask me like, why don't you do 3 hours? I'm like, dude, my brain turns off. 2 hours is a special one, and my brain shuts off at an hour. Um, but yeah, everybody listening, please go in the description. Please go follow Dr. Malone on Twitter, his Substack. Go buy both the books, and all your other websites are in there as well. So, dude,
And
as
be
always,
warriors.
yeah, exactly. Be a warrior. Yeah,
Be a
enjoy the
lion.
victory. Tomorrow we have another one, but enjoy the win. That's how I'd say. So with that, Dr. Malone, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me on, Tommy. Look forward to our next one.
Yes, sir. God bless. Guys, thank you so much.